Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Hot Market, Cold Brew, an overly caffeinated real estate podcast that's always on the grind. I'm your host, Dominic Janitis, and wordplay and coffee puns aside, I am so happy you're tuning in. Now, I hope it's more than just my parents who are listening and watching, but regardless, I can't thank you enough for choosing to spend your time with me today. Before we pour into the origins of Hot Market Cold Brew and just what we can expect from the episode, assuming I last more than just one episode, I'd like to take a minute to introduce my guest for today. I have had the extreme pleasure of working alongside and serving alongside this amazing and talented and so smart, this amazing individual. For years now. We have worked together for several years, and I've gotten to know her not only professionally, but personally. And I'm so happy to be able to call you a dear friend. I'd like to introduce to you the 2025 president of the Realtors Association of Metropolitan Pittsburgh, Michelle Senko.
Good morning,
Good morning. Good morning.
It's
good morning.
Great to be here. I'm so excited.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to have you. And we've had some fun together at the association.
We definitely have, yes.
It's been a wild ride.
Yes.
It's been great. And you've had such an amazing year as president.
Thank
you. It's been such an honor to get to watch you work. And for those of you who don't know Michelle, and we will dig more into her past and her professional history and all of that. But you are cool, calm, and collected under any situation. And that is, I might... overly caffeinated, I think.
Thank you. I try to be as diplomatic as possible. Sometimes I'm a good actress, and
sometimes you have to be.
Yeah, you have to be. Yes.
You have to be. I'm always in awe of watching her, and so the fact that she is my very first guest is it means a lot to me, and I'm so honored to have you here. Before we dive in, before we pour in, okay, yes, what are we drinking?
Well, I have my Americano waiting for me. Yes.
Well, I love that. I am sipping on some cold brew from the Red Hawk Coffee Roasters out in Uptown.
Oh, that's
which is actually where we're at. We're not at Red Hawk, but we are at Studio Me, which is a video production company out in Uptown, and I'm excited to be here.
Yes, it's a lovely, lovely space.
It is. It is. So I'm going to get started here and just kind of give a background because you know what I've been going through over the last year or so.
Yes.
I wanted to give a little bit of background and origin for Hot Market Cold Brew and what the hell it means, right? So
I'm so excited to hear about it.
I have been thinking about doing this for over a year. I've wanted to launch a podcast, and as you know, I have lived several lives within this industry. I've been licensed since 2006, and I'm licensed in Pennsylvania. I'm licensed in West Virginia, and you just experience so much and you learn so much. And I've had the honor of being the 2022 president for the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware CCIM chapter, which for those of you who don't know what CCIM is, it is a commercial real estate institute. Essentially, I look at it like a master's in commercial real estate investment. Served as 2022 president for that tri-state chapter, and then 2023 president for the Realtors Association of Metropolitan Pittsburgh.
As treasurer, yes.
we got our claws into it.
And followed in your inspirational lead as
well.
well.
I'll slip you out 20 later. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. No, but we've seen so much, right? And so when you're in those leadership roles and when you're working with so many amazing clients and you meet so many people, you start to think, okay, there's something here. There's stories to tell. There's experiences, education, and I've been lucky enough to be able to appear on some local media to report on local and national real estate news, and that kind of got a bug in me that I didn't think, I'm a ham. Yes. I love a microphone and a captive audience. You'll find that out. But there was something to it, and I said, oh, this kind of woke something up in me. I'm like, okay, maybe there's a show here. Maybe there's a podcast here. And then I actually, back in July of this year, of 2025, I met John and Rachel, who are the hosts of Jagoff.
Yes.
They are fabulous. And I met them at the Best of the Berg party, the Pittsburgh Magazine party. And what was really fun is that I got to witness how they've grown. And I got to meet them, and they're so nice. And I never really met a podcast a podcaster before, and they also have a radio show.
Yes.
And so I was like, okay.
Yes, they're very busy.
They're very busy. And to me, I was like, okay, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. So back in July, I started kind of like really writing some episodes and figuring out topics and trying to line up guests. And, I was thinking, what's the angle? Right, because we're all doing podcasts and we're all doing, as much as we can to get the message out there. And I was starting to think back on all of the best conversations about real estate that I've ever had, and they were all with friends or clients over a cup of coffee.
Yes.
And we have meetings in offices and boardrooms and all of that, but it's like there's something to this. So why don't I have a podcast or launch something that's like having coffee with a friend and chatting real estate.
Yes,
Right?
I love it. There's so many untold stories and so many things that other folks I think can learn from too, from hearing each other's stories and
Absolutely.
experiences.
Well, the beautiful thing about this is when you're in leadership roles, volunteer leadership, or you've just been in the business, for over a decade now, you've met so many people. And so I thought, okay, we can bring in people who we've met who touch real estate in different facets. So
Yes.
property inspectors, appraisers, lenders, other real estate agents, anything, and really kind of dive into asking them questions, having them ask questions about, or even investors coming in if they're
Yes.
interested in learning or whatever. So I thought that was the show.
I love
So
it.
we're
I
going to
love
see
it.
how it evolves.
Yes.
I have no idea. Could last, like I said, 1 episode, 100 episodes. Who the hell knows? But
I love it.
we're going to have some fun with it. There's a lot of stories to be told. From a show perspective, what I think people can expect. And I'm very clearly reading my notes here. So, but market breakdowns, fun interviews,
Yes.
behind the scenes stories, which I think we're going to have to maybe make it
Love.
anonymous
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yes.
But, uplifting stories. I also want to share what I've learned so far.
Yes.
And I've met, like I said, amazing individuals like yourself who I think will have some great stories and great experiences to share as well. So with all of that said, I think this is kind of where we tap into the show. And I want it to be entertaining and educational. And it's a fun way. It's a not so serious way to talk about a serious
Yes.
topic, and just have fun with it.
Yes, and you have so many different awesome perspectives to share because
you.
you're in the field as a sales practitioner doing both commercial and residential real estate. You've had these tremendous leadership roles that covered, tri-state areas and our Pittsburgh region and Western Pennsylvania, all the way to a national representative, which now I'm in those shoes
Yes,
trying
you
to
are.
fill. But, it's really, I think it's important to share that firsthand perspective and the need for accurate real estate news and information
Oh,
is
thank
so
you.
important too.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. You are totally playing into this, so I love it.
well,
No,
yeah.
no, it's great. I really do appreciate that. I feel like real estate, what I've learned, and I'm sure you can attest to this, real estate needs to be transparent. Consumers need to be advocated for.
Yes.
And it should be empowering and accessible to everyone.
Yes.
So why not try to bring all of that together with a little bit of fun?
Exactly.
Right?
And that's
Over
a lot
coffee.
of what we do at the association that
Absolutely.
I don't know if enough other realtors or practitioners know, or even that the consumer knows. So I hope that your show can enlighten everyone.
Well,
a little
thank you.
bit,
I
know?
hope so too. We'll
Yeah.
find out. So I do truly hope that all of you watching and listening like what I've put together. And I hope you stick around for episodes that are coming really, really soon. So all of that said, we're going to sneak on over into the next segment, which is
Yes.
what I like to call the pour over. So we're going to get to learn a little bit more about President Michelle Senko. You ready for some questions?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about your position
Okay.
as the 2025
Yes.
president of RAMP
Yes.
and volunteer leadership roles. So why don't you tell me about them? What do you got going on?
Well, it's been quite a long journey to get here. I started at RAMP by volunteering to, I think, attend one event. And from there, it was very quickly led to a committee chair position. and the board of directors. And then I ran for treasurer and vice president. And here I am as president of the association, which I'm very proud of and have really enjoyed the leadership role and the different perspective as opposed to my traditional sales role. So it's brought a great perspective to my work and the impact that our association and the work that you and I do on a local, state, and national level that really contributes to the real estate industry too.
I think that's a great,
So
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I think watching you work in this role is inspiring. And I feel like
thank
anyone
you.
who is interested in stepping into volunteer leadership in any industry really can take a page out of your book for how you handle and how you lead, how you handle things and
Thank
how
you.
you lead our association forward. It's an inspiration and really, really proud of you.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
yeah.
That really means a lot.
Oh,
I am very dedicated
you are.
and, try to work very hard at pulling those different components together that our association has, whether it's the education side, community service, government relations, getting involved in all of those kind of aspects to really enhance your career is so important.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Now, what I love about the presidency, right, for the association is the ability to pick a theme
Yes.
for the association. So back in 2023, when I was the association president, my theme was RAMP, the Realtors Association of Metropolitan Pittsburgh, is a bridge to the future. Obviously, play on the bridges, Pittsburgh, the city of
Yes.
bridges, et cetera, and how we connect between our association and the public and the future of real estate in our city. Your theme, I think, is
Yes.
absolutely fantastic, and I love it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your theme?
Thank you. Well, I grew up in a family that was always involved. We were, whether it was our church group, whether it was community service, connecting with our elected officials in different ways. So that sort of came as second nature to me, really, how I've always sort of lived and worked,
Hmm.
being involved. So when I saw some of my peers sort of having this one lane view to their work, I said, well, maybe I can start to inspire my peers to
Sure.
approach their business with a more comprehensive perspective, as I have done over my own career and found to be so important because of all of these different aspects really matter, to a career that is not only long lasting, but incredibly fulfilling as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love
Yeah.
it. It's going beyond the contract.
Going beyond the contract. That is the theme.
I love it.
And so, I think that can apply really to anyone, whether you're in real estate or any profession,
Absolutely.
just not to look sale to sale to sale. Of course, that's important, but to really, really find ways to get involved and forge those important relationships in your city.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think going beyond the contract, to me, what you have exemplified is being part of something that is bigger than ourselves,
Yes.
bigger than you, bigger than me, bigger than our association, and that's really rare to find. And so, kudos to you, not only on a
Thank
great
you.
year, but the theme has been awesome. And
Thank
I've
you.
also, as a board member now, as a past
Yes.
president, as I like to say in my has-been era,
Never.
you know, what's really cool is that we see the board also following in that theme. And I think,
Mm,
we're seeing more and more people live that mantra,
great.
so it's really cool to see. So very, very cool, very
Thank you.
fun.
Thank you.
Now, what you also may not know about Michelle is she and I parallel in a lot of ways
Yes.
for our industry practice. So I am a commercial and investment real estate practitioner who also does residential real estate. And Michelle is in the same boat.
Yes.
And it's rare, I think, to find practitioners who can, dare I say, blend in the coffee,
Yes,
coffee
I
a
think
bold
that's right.
blend, right? That can bring those two sides of the industry that are starkly different,
Yes.
bring them together in a way that you do. And so I have a couple of questions,
Sure.
if that works. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So how did you get into, well, very baseline, how did you get into
Yeah.
residential and commercial and investment? How did all of that kind of come to be for you?
Well, my professional career is actually one that started very far from home. I worked in Fort Lauderdale, Florida for an office there, and I started doing marketing work. Um, and as I was around the industry, I said, I really love this. And a lot of it was starting to come second nature because of my
Mm-hmm.
upbringing. My family, my father, my grandfather, my uncles, and relatives were in construction and investment property themselves. My grandfather, who is one of my inspirations, a classic American dream story, came to America in 1938 with nothing but, his hard work ethic.
Sure.
And from renting his shop space to purchasing it to then building a home in the suburbs for his family and turning his building into a place for business and investment
I love
property
that.
to rent out was just, phenomenal, really. And so I, always joke that's just what I thought you did on summer vacations was,
Sure.
paint walls and clean up after tenants. And so a lot of that stuff, and of course being around my dad, helping him too, and picking up all those bits and pieces. A lot of it sort of started to come second nature.
Sure.
So yeah,
I love
so
that.
it really kind of fell together. And I think that's too why I have a passion for blending those two aspects because commercial and residential real estate, a lot of people have this very divided perspective. And I
Oh,
think, again, sort of onto your theme was to bridge them together because these are two industries that affect one another so much more than maybe folks realize.
absolutely.
So and properties sort of can cross those lines too.
Mm-hmm.
A duplex, a mixed use building, which we have
Mm-hmm.
so much of in Pittsburgh.
Oh, absolutely.
So to go back to, building relationships with your clients first and then figuring out what kind of property they need is sort of how I evolved to being able to service the gamut.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I think you bring up such a good point too, because when you're blending the two together, people tend to forget that, especially too, when you have older product like we do in Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
some of these warehouse spaces are being converted into residential,
Yep.
or there's going to be commercial on the first floor and residences above, or condos,
Exactly.
whatever the case may be. So I think it's really interesting to
Mhm.
see how someone can bob and weave through the market that way. And it really is, it's relationship first,
Yes.
and then
Absolutely.
finding highest and best use later,
Yes. Yeah.
No, but I love that, and I think that there's a lot to be said for that, being able to move through the market, having
Yes.
those experience in both of those things.
Exactly. And sort of as we are seeing now, the market evolving and changing. What was good 10 years ago for a building might be different now or in the
Absolutely.
future. So to be able to be flexible and bend with that and be able to service the insight from that side and hopefully, your client or investor sees the same vision or you can help guide them there that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is a great segue into this next question, because when you're thinking about changing hats, right? When you're, how are you able to balance that client load across two very different sides of the industry?
Yeah. Well, I tend now to be very selective. Again, we all sort of evolve that way, starting
Mm-hmm.
out sort of saying yes and
Mm-hmm.
figuring it out later or
Yep.
taking on everything. Now I'm a lot more selective to make sure that my client understands me as well as I understand them and that they are looking for a long-term committed relationship with a professional that can help them you know, rent out their investment property or find a new space for their business, and that we're committed to working through different things in that way, and that they understand that first more than just that subject property at hand.
No, I think
Yeah.
that's a really good point. So with that, it's the cross-disciplinary experience that
Yes.
I would say gives you an edge when you're looking at identifying investment properties or investment opportunities between
Mhm.
commercial and residential. I mean,
I
right?
think so.
Yeah.
I absolutely would think
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yes. I'm fairly confident it does because I think having seen things in different ways, we see more than possibly one use for
Mhm.
it. We see a very pragmatic approach.
Yep.
Do the numbers work?
Yep.
And is this something again that can withstand a shifting market? too. So
It's
it's different than just the one lane of primary residence. You have a bit more emotion involved. You have a little less closer of an eye, I think, on the bottom line. But with the investment and commercial side, you really can be flexible with those tools behind you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it certainly gives you an edge. And to go back to your earlier point too, when you're balancing client load, I mean, you reach a point where you start to remember, and it comes with experience too, that you're interviewing the client as much as they're interviewing
yes,
you know, and we might not, and I'm certainly have fallen prey to that where in the earlier days, I'm like, oh, they're interviewing me and, but then it's like, okay, well, wait a second. I get a couple of deals under your belt, a couple of years, and you start to say, well, wait a second. I want to work with someone who works as hard as I do on the other side of it. Whether they're a buyer or a seller, I want that level of commitment that I'm providing.
Exactly.
I want it provided back to me, and that's okay.
Yes, it is.
To advocate for yourself.
Exactly. Yes, I agree. I think it's so important that you take pause and really make sure that your client is on the same page as you, because I always say this is a partnership, right? We're in this together. I want realtors to be known as advocates to their communities first, but also a trusted advisor and a partner in your business.
Absolutely.
Whether that is buying, your first home or a space for your business, or as it evolves over the years, the many needs you might have.
Absolutely. And I think you raise a really good point with this too, because it's not, and I know that you operate the same way, so I will speak on your behalf when I say this, but it is not a one and done transaction. We want that continued relationship. We want to be that guy or that girl that services that family or that business for years to come. I want them to call me when they have a real estate question, even if they're not necessarily ready to buy or sell, or if they're just like sniffing around the market or what. I want to be that person that they call. And I know that you operate very much like that, because it's not about, and I don't know who said this, and I heard it from somewhere, and please, whoever it was, reach out if you're watching. And if it's my parents, don't. But the thought was, or the comment was, it's not about making a dollar. It's about making a difference. And
like
of course, we need to pay our bills and we need to eat. And I joke about all the time that we're 7-day-a-week volunteers until someone closes, right? Because we're not getting a paycheck until someone closes. But it is when you really start to get into it and you dedicate your life to this industry the way that you have, the way that I try to. It's not so much about that dollar. Again, we need to pay our bills, but it is about making a difference. And if it's not making a difference in the community, it's making a difference with that person or that business that you're working with. So you do that very well, and I've watched you grow.
Likewise.
Well, thank you. Watched you grow over the years, and the way that you work within the community, businesses, families, it's just, it's very awe-inspiring. And so anyone that is willing and looking to get into the industry really should take a page out of Michelle Senko's book. And that's not just because we are dear friends. That is the truth.
Likewise.
I appreciate that. But that is the truth. And that's one of the big reasons I wanted to have her here, because it is about blending.
It is.
Commercial and residential. It's about blending the industry with the community. And I think that there needs to be more, there are amazing agents and brokers out there, don't get me wrong, but I think there needs to be a bigger focus on blending those two, not necessarily industry practices, but industry to community in a way that maybe we haven't been so used to in the past.
Right. I think a lot of people get caught up in the sales and the numbers and the competition that sometimes that can create. And I think I was always the outlier that way. I never got caught up in that.
You and I both.
Although, I had some very great sales I was proud of. I was more proud really about connecting with that relationship that I had made for the long haul. How else can I help them? What resource can I connect them with? Different things like that.
Yeah, no, I think that's so important for anyone listening out there. I mean, we are all a little bit competitive in our own ways. I've never been the person, I've never been a competitive person where I have to be number one on the leaderboard.
Yes.
Right? Maybe it's spin class, but that's a whole other story.
That's a whole other episode.
Yeah, that's a whole other episode. I can assure you of that. But just the idea, especially too, if you're operating within our MLS, commercial is reported differently. I mean, there's a lot of different things, but I never really got caught up in that chase of having to be the best realtor with numbers. I want to be the best realtor with my clients.
Yes.
And I want to be the best practitioner. I want to be the trusted advisor that in their eyes, I am the best.
Yes.
And I don't care if I sold $1 worth of property or rented over $1 million of property, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
As long as my client thinks I'm the best, that's all that
Exactly.
matters.
And that
I think at the end.
their best interest is satisfied
Absolutely.
at the end of the day. And, we can all move on
Yep.
from that. I think, talk about being competitive, maybe with myself, always trying to, right? Always trying to be better, always trying to find different educational tools and outlets. And I think that has been one of the greatest things, too, that the association has been able to complement as well. I mean, we've been able to connect with practitioners from all over the state of Pennsylvania and have
Yep.
great relationships with them. Somebody in Philadelphia or the central area, we learn how they do things there that might be a great insight to what we can bring to our market, or vice versa sometimes.
Absolutely.
I'm glad we do things that
Yep,
way
yep.
because that really is not
Not how we do
not
it.
working. But
Yep.
that gives a lot of insight and, again, firsthand real life experience that we collaborate on and
Yep.
talk to each other and perfect too. I
Yep.
mean, talk about connecting the dots and our practitioners so far out here when a lot of the industry foundation is way over here.
Absolutely.
And we're trying to connect those dots. I go in to the association office and I check 3 things off the list and I've added 10.
Yep.
And that's just how it's ongoing.
Absolutely.
Ongoing work.
That
yes.
is.
And not just for the year. It's certainly, you don't clock in and clock out. I mean, it's been years of work leading up to
Yep.
it and many years of work to come behind it
Yep.
to continue to support these missions.
No, I think it's obviously we think it's important work, right? We hope
Yes.
that it translates that it's important work, but I think that we're starting to help change maybe the thought process from a public perspective, at
Yes.
least, where and not just you and I, but I mean the association as a whole, because
Yes.
the last couple of years in real estate has been challenging.
It
And
has, yes.
so I think it's important to make sure that we, the association, the members are out in front of the public who see the good work that's happening.
Yes.
Behind the scenes that, we don't necessarily advertise all the
Yes,
time, but there's a lot of
exactly.
work that goes into it. And it's really, I think, advocacy for consumers and transparency and really advocating for private property rights that I think really drives a lot of this conversation. All right, so next up, I want to talk about the commercial scene in Pittsburgh. Okay, so I think we were talking about this article that the
Yes.
Pittsburgh Business Times had just come out with this morning, last couple of days. I saw it this morning, and it was about how Pittsburgh had moved up into the top 10 markets to watch for 2026 for commercial real estate with the Urban Land Institute and I believe PwC. And it gave a lot of great stats and a lot of great other markets too that I thought were really surprising that were on that list. But with commercial real estate changing and Pittsburgh being such a hot market, if you will, where do you see the Pittsburgh commercial scene evolving, the Pittsburgh landscape for real estate evolving post-pandemic? What does that look like to you?
Well, I think it's actually quite different than maybe the narrative you hear on an average daily basis. I think there is so much room for growth. I think our industries in Pittsburgh, our tech, our healthcare, our building and construction industries are consistently strong and have
absolutely.
been and ever growing. I think a lot of repurposing, adaptive reuse, certainly we've been seeing as well. But I mean, we have seen some incredible office buildings go up in the past year as well, post-pandemic or through the pandemic. The FNB Tower, the Vision
Oh, what a
on
great example.
Yes, exactly. That's in Uptown. The Vision on 15th, which is right at the entranceway of the Strip, sort of connecting downtown to the Strip. And those builders and developers have been true visionaries because they had
Absolutely.
to sort of go against the grain where everyone is sort of sharing this narrative that office space is dead. It's not. It's just what type.
Right.
It's what type, what use, what are consumers looking for? And I think they were, 2 examples that pop out to me that were really ahead of the game in sort of creating a different space of accommodations for their office, but have continued to succeed. And we will continue
absolutely.
to see more of that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were fortunate enough through the association, actually.
Yes.
Trying not
Through
to
your
pound
hard
on
work, yeah.
Well, thank you. The mic will pick up every time I bang on this table. So,
Yeah.
and I talk with my hands. You'll find this out, air traffic controlling, and I'm trying to desperately not bang anything here. So we had the luxury and the pleasure of touring the F&B Tower, which I believe when we toured, I think the developer who came in from Philly to meet with us, and I thought it was so amazing, said that it was the first skyscraper that went up since the pandemic, or it was something to that effect.
Well,
Don't fact check me too much, but it was something like that.
in many years, like at least 20 years.
It was
in
something,
Pittsburgh.
yeah.
It was quite
Yeah, in
significant.
Pittsburgh, yeah,
It
yeah.
was quite
And
significant.
so it was, I call it like class AAA office space.
Yes.
It really is beautiful. If
Yeah.
anybody watching has had an opportunity, or if you get a chance to pop in there, please go check it out because it is really, it's amazing.
Yes.
It's a
And
beautiful building.
again, it's going to be a catalyst for another, chapter of developments and regrowth in that uptown area too.
For
So,
sure. We've got a 4,500 person event venue that's coming to Uptown, and we are currently recording in Uptown as well.
Yes,
so there's
we
a lot
are.
happening. And so I think it blends between what they're calling the Center District and Uptown and the Hill. There's also shopping, and I think you've got affordable housing that's coming. You've got market rate apartments and condos and all. So there's so much happening in this corridor. And it was really, I think, a partnership originally with the Penguins, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been really, really interesting to watch.
and there's a great example of how commercial affects residential and residential affects commercial, and to pay attention
Cherry
to
on top.
it all.
No, I think that it's
It
such
does,
it's
though.
such a great
real
thing.
life example.
Absolutely.
Of
Now, if you had to say, what would one thing be about Pittsburgh's commercial scene that Pittsburgh would be shocked to know or surprised, or a fun fact maybe?
I mean, I think it's similar to what we talked about, how, new office spaces are going up, new retail spaces are going up. It just depends on what type and what kind of client you're accommodating and facilitating. So I always steer away from those blanket statements of this is the it thing or this is, completely dead. And I just think that misconception needs to be
Swept
pushed to
away.
the side.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, speaking in definites, what's the next it neighborhood? What's next in the neighborhood perspective? If you had to pick a Pittsburgh neighborhood, now for those of you who don't know Pittsburgh, there are 90 municipalities, 90 neighborhoods that make up our beautiful city. And each of them are so distinct with rich histories, vibrant cultures, and they all have their own neighborhood culture and attitude. Like Bloomfield is Bloomfield, friendship is friendship, right? They are not blending in the way that friendship is part of Bloomfield. No, they live side by side and they're, they get along, but it's just they're two very different neighborhoods.
Very unique character to each one in a relatively small amount of space. I mean, we're talking about Allegheny County containing over 90 different municipalities and neighborhoods with their own unique personality.
That's the best term for it, personality. Which neighborhood do you think is about to pop off, or is maybe we should be talking more about?
Well, I think, post-pandemic, I think downtown sort of got a bad rap, and some of the surrounding neighborhoods that do play off of downtown, which is Uptown, which is South Side, and I personally spend a lot of time in all of those places, and I see a different perspective than what sometimes the narrative carried about it, and I think they are all on the up and up. I think people do want to live in the city. I think people still do want to build and develop there and run their business there and get back to, those more community, close-knit ways and complementing off of one another. When Southside does well, when downtown does well, Southside will do well, and so will Uptown, and so will Northside, and it will kind of all blend together.
Oh.
I didn't even plan that.
Blend. She didn't even plan it. Yeah, right. Here's another 20. No, I love that. I think there's so much happening downtown from a redevelopment perspective too, with all the residences that are going to be converted from the office buildings. So I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's so true. With the commercial background that you have, and the residential background that you have, and the leadership background that you have. Okay. If let's say we'll start from a commercial perspective. If a residential agent, we're going to switch gears.
Okay.
If a residential agent is listening or watching right now
Yes.
and they think, I could never do commercial real estate,
Hmm.
what's your advice to them, knowing all of the facets of the industry that you touch and all of the information that you have just shared, with the viewers?
Yeah.
What would you tell a residential agent?
Well, I would probably, similar to my experience, which I was very fortunate to work alongside of a very experienced commercial agent in the industry that I could learn from alongside, but also be able to execute and lead some of those tasks myself. I thought that was the best way I
Hmm.
could learn. So I was in it, but I also wasn't quite by myself
Hmm.
starting out. I think that's a great way to maybe get some experience in
Sure.
doing it and give yourself maybe the confidence that you can. Finding someone to collaborate with, I think is always a great idea.
I
Yeah.
I could agree more.
Yes. Well, that's why we get along.
Yeah. So true.
Because we do that.
Every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. So then and this might be a good segue, but from what foundational skills does a residential agent need to develop before moving into commercial
Yeah.
transactions?
I would say if you've only done residential property sales and primarily worked with, single family home buyers or primary residence buyers, whatever type of property that may be, I would ask yourself maybe a few questions, maybe to say, can I think about things in a different perspective?
Sure.
More again of that financial aspect. Can I, figure out these ratios and do some market analysis that, makes my client happy, that makes the bottom line work,
Sure.
that is a good neighborhood, sort of that more business minded and pragmatic approach
Yeah.
to purchasing a property and less of the sort of lust that comes with the,
Yes.
this is going to be my home. I want this at all costs. And you have to switch gears in that way. So I
Mhm.
would sort of ask yourself if that's something you're
You can.
willing and able to do,
Sure.
if
Well, you
that's,
bring up a good point
yeah,
because residential can be very emotionally charged,
yes,
and emotion driven, and commercial is, I mean, though it can get emotional, right?
yes,
But it's a lot more data driven
yes,
and
exactly.
analytical. So I
Mhm.
think too, on top of what you're saying, it's also, if you're a residential agent, it's very similar to how I got into the business. I didn't
Mhm.
really know much about commercial. I kind of fell into it. But the idea was I'm going to educate myself. I'm
Yes.
going to take classes and without it being a plug for the association, but there
Right.
are several areas, several associations, several great organizations that will teach commercial real estate that have classes. So
Yeah.
maybe start small, take a couple of, classes here and there, maybe an
Yeah.
intro 101,
Yes.
and kind of get that going because I think that's really
Yeah.
important. I think if
Yeah.
you're going to be advocating for a client on the commercial side, you better take
Yes.
some classes too.
Yes, absolutely. Start learning,
Mhm.
and maybe at first in a casual way, like you said.
Mhm.
Maybe you're filling your continuing education credits at the Ramp School, which is the largest real estate school in the state of
Well
Pennsylvania,
done.
by the way. And yours truly, Dominic,
Oh,
is holding his own class that
yes,
it
I am.
that could invite commercial practitioners,
Yeah,
whether
essentially like
they're
an intro.
casually trying to learn or, again, I mean, I'm almost 20 years in the business on a
Mhm.
professional side,
Mhm.
and I'm always still learning something.
Oh,
So
we don't
there
know what we don't
is,
know.
yeah, there is
That's the
always
case.
something to brush up on or
Yep.
remind something that maybe you did know, and it just brought to the foreground of you know of your mind. So I
I think
think
that's
that's great.
we said it at the same I think that's great. I was going to say the same thing. If someone wants to level up their business, what's one thing they can do this week to get better?
This week. Well, get involved.
Okay.
Get involved in
Okay.
one way or the other, whether it is through your community or your professional organization
Okay.
like our association. We have so many different ways to get involved. And through that, you're making a friend, you're diving into the community. You are maybe connecting with one of the elected officials, dealing with some government relations, some new legislation you're getting ahead of. You're learning something no matter
Absolutely.
what you're doing,
Yep.
and you're most likely again making a friend that way, and that's where we
That's where we
made
met.
our made our friendship first. And you're connecting too with like-minded individuals because the
Absolutely.
people you are meeting at the association or these other projects that our association houses so many different avenues of ways to
Absolutely.
get involved.
Yep.
You're connecting with like-minded people who are probably looking for the same thing, probably
Absolutely.
looking to better their community in the same way, or advocate for legislation, or
For
again,
sure.
make another friend on the other side of town that
Absolutely.
you can talk to, collaborate with, bounce things off each other, co-list something one day.
That's what we do all the time.
All kind of different ideas.
I think that's a
So,
great, because that's really how I got started and
Me
involved
too,
too.
yeah.
So it's so true. Here's one that we're gonna close out with this section with this question that I'm very campy about. So obviously, but if you could wave a magic coffee stirrer
Okay.
and change one thing about real estate, what would it be?
Okay. That's easy.
Okay.
I would really want to change the perspective of the work that a realtor and agent does for their clients and the hard work that goes on behind
that's
the
a good one.
scenes. Yeah. And I sort of find myself it's like a double-edged sword. That way you want to share everything you're doing, but at the same time you also want to just take care of the business,
Yep.
do a good job,
Yep.
and not burden anyone with that narrative or those items of what's going on, because a good agent just gets it done.
Just gets it done.
And I
the grind.
think that is the common misconception to our work. We're seen in a few places, but behind the scenes, we're in so many
So
more.
many.
So
Good answer,
yeah.
Michelle.
Oh well,
Good
I
answer.
feel it every day. So
We are going to move on to one of the final segments that we have together.
Okay.
I'm calling it Brew, Tilly Honest. A couple of rapid fire hot take questions, okay? Don't look at my questions.
okay, I'm
'cause-
not.
all
I'm
right?
not. I'm still on Brew.
Okay.
To be honest, yeah.
We're catching up.
Spelling it in my head. So
All right. Favorite coffee shop in Pittsburgh?
I love Big Dog Coffee
Okay.
in Southside.
Yeah.
Yes, it's one of my local favorites.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite local business?
I will say Girasoli restaurant in Shadyside. My mom and I were just there,
Oh,
and
nice.
not only is the food amazing, but the memories I have made there
Oh,
through
that's
special
sweet.
occasions or simply just a lunch on a Tuesday. That's a special place
All
for
right.
me.
Love
Yeah.
that. All right. You've got 30 minutes to show Pittsburgh to an out-of-town investor. Where are you taking them? 30 minutes. Where are you taking them?
This is a very Pittsburgh answer.
Love it. I hope it is.
But I would take them to Mount Washington first. I mean, I have
kiss.
lived in many cities. I've lived in many countries, actually. I had traveled many places. And the Pittsburgh landscape at the Three Rivers, the Point, the view from Mount Washington is so unique than to any city I've ever seen.
It's
Yeah.
so true.
So
true.
I would
Good
enjoy
answer.
a nice walk on Mount Washington.
I love that. Okay. Dream celebrity client you'd love to represent.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Jerry Seinfeld, and
Okay.
maybe if Larry David is hanging out with him, maybe
Okay. Oh, twist your arm then?
together.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, maybe find them a warehouse. They could
Oh, do a
write some
soundstage or
comedy
something?
in.
Yeah.
Jerry has all those cars. It'd be perfect. Yeah.
You know what,
we have it
Jerry?
in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Jerry, if you're listening, give Michelle a call. I think we all know, not that you asked, but I think you'd all know who. I don't know if you can tell, but I would represent Taylor Swift. I think that is a beautiful
yeah.
gift from my
Yeah.
friend Michelle. A
Yes,
little
we know
Taylor
that's
mug.
his
at-
favorite.
Off camera, yes. Fabulous. Okay, and
Favorite
last, oh yeah, love her. But like a normal amount. That's not true. Okay, so last question from a rapid fire perspective. What is your pump up song before a big listing presentation?
Oh gosh, I listen to so many different types of music, but I mean, if I said anything other than Taylor Swift right now, would we still be friends?
And cut rolling. I don't
So, I mean, that's Taylor Swift.
Perfect answer. I love that.
Yeah.
We'll have you back soon. Okay, well, I love that answer. The next segment here, as we're going to be closing out, I am affectionately calling the sweet treat. Because when you're
Nice.
having coffee and you're at a cafe, you want to end maybe
Yes.
with something a little sweet.
I love treats.
So who
All the
doesn't,
time,
right?
yeah.
Who doesn't love a sweet treat? So I will probably moving forward if the podcast progresses here. When the podcast, thank you, progresses, end with something positive that's happening within the industry. Michelle, when you turn on the news, you're hearing more bad than good, and it's a shame. So I want to highlight agents or anybody in the industry who are doing something that's making a positive change. And I'm going to talk about you as the sweet treat.
Okay. Well,
Michelle,
I'm here.
Here's a sweet treat. But really, the work that you do with RAMP at their community service committee, in addition to that, you're also working with the Women's Center and Shelter in Pittsburgh. Do you want to talk about those two? I think what you're doing there at both places are amazing. So if you want to highlight those.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I am so proud of our community service team at RAMP. It's one of the, again, many avenues or committees that you can join at our association. And it's really evolved to a team of great people. And if we didn't continue to have all of those dedicated volunteers, we would not have the reach that we have. We need everybody. We need everybody pitching in. We need everybody showing up to these different projects. And through a collaborative effort, we really have established meaningful community partnerships that we have signature events throughout the year that we now look forward to every year.
Absolutely.
The Western Pennsylvania Conservancy is one. We, as realtors and advocates to our community, we take great pride in beautifying our neighborhoods. So, we're digging in the dirt a few times a year to plant flowers. And,
it looks like so much fun, too. I don't get there nearly as much as I should.
Yes, and, what's
amazing.
Great about our projects is a lot of that legwork and planning is done for you. So an agent that maybe wants to get involved or try it, just show up.
I love that.
That's all we need.
That's great. And then you do work with the Women's Center and Shelter.
Yes, the Women's Center and Shelter of Greater Pittsburgh is one that is incredibly meaningful to me. From a professional level, they continue to help both women and anyone really in a domestic violence situation find housing and the resources to move on. And, housing is really just one aspect, but many aspects to transition to start your life. And they also have a very personal meaning to me as well. So yes, I do. I'm a speaker and ambassador for their work. We do a lot with the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank as well to serve our Pittsburgh local residents. And so many more. There's just
you amaze me. I have been so fortunate to go to some of the events that the Women's Center and Shelter have put together, and you've also been honored as Women in Business, one of the Women in Business awardees this year as well. And so, congratulations on that.
Thank
Michelle
you.
is everywhere. She's absolutely everywhere. She's doing everything. But I have been so in awe of what the Women's Center and Shelter have done, honestly, because going to a couple of those events, you know about it, but you don't really know the breadth of how much they're actually helping. And, I'm always in awe. When I go there, I get emotional, sitting in the back of the room or sometimes wooing in the back of the room.
The hype man, the official hype man.
You got to have a hype man. But no, I mean, the work that you all are doing there is absolutely incredible and so important.
So important. I mean, many folks, hopefully you have not been touched by domestic violence and think, just leave. And that may be quite actually dangerous and has to be very thoughtfully, well thought out, well planned. They have many tools and resources from legal advocacy to housing, counseling. They have support for children. That's actually one of the programs that RAMP is showing up to shortly. We'll do a children's party, if you will. We bring sweet treats.
We love a sweet treat.
And crafts, and it's a chance for the children that are, affected by this transition time to just be kids and just play, and perhaps give the mothers and the parents a break. And that is just time you need to take to, again, continue to support your community. And
unbelievable.
You really see all of those steps sort of unfolding and all of the team that the Women's Center facilitates to help all of those aspects, because leaving is really just the first step to rebuilding your life. And they do such a tremendous job of handling is such an emotional and sensitive situation
Absolutely.
with such grace,
I
with
couldn't imagine.
such dignity. And I'm honored to be a part of their work
Oh,
from a personal level and a professional level in our
well, we
city.
love
I'm
that.
very proud of that.
Well, you should be proud of
Yeah.
it. And the work they do is amazing. Michelle, thank you so much
Yes,
for being
thank
here
you.
with
This
me
was
today.
great.
I've got
This was great.
just a couple more questions.
Okay.
Okay. You have had an absolutely amazing year from, being 2025 president of the Realtors Association of Metropolitan Pittsburgh and leading the charge in our industry and for our membership as well, and all of the work that you've done. And like I'd mentioned before, winning a beautiful Women in Business award. I'm just absolutely stunning. I've gotten to know your family, your parents, who
Yes.
I love
Yes,
so much.
we're convinced we're long lost relatives
100%.
because our
That's a
parents
whole-
are very similar.
that's a whole nother
another episode. Yeah.
We're gonna have to 23andMe that.
Yeah.
But I've gotten to know you, and I've gotten to know your mom and dad, and they are just such beautiful people. And you
Likewise.
thank you. You have really so much going on right now. And as you're getting ready to wrap up your presidential year, I have to ask. What's next? What's 2026 looking like for Michelle Senko? What have we got going on?
Oh, well, as you know, you don't check out on December 31st, 2025.
You sure don't.
The work continues for many years. And as I've shifted into the leadership and mentorship role that I have so enjoyed, sort of, shifting from the sales role of day to day, I've really been inspired to continue that on.
I love that.
And I think there is a lot more work to be done of inspiring the work that goes beyond the contract.
Oh.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So that means that we will be having our own podcast that, illustrates all of that work
So
available.
you mean to tell me that Michelle Senko will be having
Yes.
her very own podcast
In 2026.
called Beyond the Contract? Well, cheers to you. I love that.
Yes.
Love it.
So tune in for more topics, just like we've talked about.
I think it's great. And I think if anyone has the experience and the knowledge of leadership and mission-driven, forward thinking, I think it's you. And so I wish you all of the best
Thank
of luck
you.
in 2026.
Thank you so
While you
much.
go, I don't know where the camera is, but when you go beyond the contract with Michelle Senko, as a little nod
Thank
to you and your
you.
year, I'm so proud of you. So
I'm
blessed to
so-
know you.
Likewise.
And I can't wait to be tuning in, and I hope all of you will be as well. Last little thing
you.
here. Oh, if we cheers, we have to drink. I
Yes.
think that's yes.
know.
It's not vodka, but it's going to be fine.
Tequila?
Maybe. Last little bit here. Where can people find you online? How are they going to connect with you if they want to reach out to Michelle Senko?
I'm on all social media platforms. YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn are probably going to be the best.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for
Thank
being with me
you.
today on the very first episode of Hot Market Cold Brew. It means
so
the world.
Honored.
Oh, you stop that.
Wonderful.
She's getting another 20. I don't know how to do this. That's fine. No, you've been a wonderful guest, and
Thank you.
so happy to have you on. This has been wonderful.
Yes.
And we will see you back real
So
soon.
great. I'm so excited to tune into the next one
Oh,
and hear
thank
all the
you.
exciting real estate news that you're going to share.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Buckle up. And that's a wrap on today's Brew, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Dominic Janitis, and I am the host here at Hot Market Cold Brew, an overly caffeinated real estate podcast that's always on the grind. Whether you're house hunting, deal chasing, or just looking for a little real estate tea, I hope today's episode gave you something bold to sip on and take to go. Until next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your favorite real estate hunting friend, and leave a review if you liked what I brewed. Catch you next time.